Okay, now what do you do? Can you even put an implant in there? Well, not exactly, no. So there's always different things that come along, so there's a need for, you know, more and more treatment that can become more expensive, obviously, than routine. It's not just a filling or one crown every few months or something, or a few months, years, hopefully, you know, but it depends. So you don't know what the future is, depending on how healthy it is. Health is your wealth? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The other thing is gum disease. You know, I mean, I think half the population, give or take, is going to get it at some time in some minor way, whether it's a gingivitis, just of the gums.
Does it have to do with what we're eating? Is it beyond the medications, or is it just kind of the medications?
Gum disease, as I understand it, you know, from my friends that are periodontists, is we've changed our philosophy a little bit. It used to be like, you know, it's you're not brushing nanny boo boo and all this stuff. You didn't do this, and that's true. We need to do it.
Okay.
There's no question about that. But a lot of it's genetics. Genetics plays a part. In fact, so much so, I guess even last at least a couple of decades, we're looking at either you're genetically susceptible or resistant to perio. And so, in other words, I've seen folks that have just the best home care on the planet, and they've still got gum problems.
Right. Floss every day.
And then I see others that come in and you wish they'd have brushed before they came in to see me, but they didn't.
Yep.
And so, you know, and yet you look at them, they've got a little irritation around the gums, but the bone is solid. So how does that work out? There's a little more to it than we think. But with age, there's no question that you're going to have issues that get worse.
What about with women? And I know as women age, you know, our vitamin D levels seem to go down and our bone density seems to go down. Does that affect?
It's mixed a little bit on whether osteoporosis relationship to dentistry. I think that they're beginning to show that it is a little more of a problem, but I don't know that we can, you know, it's the same way with diabetics and periodontal disease, let's say. We know that if you're even type 2 diabetic, that you have a greater risk of developing periodontal disease, bone loss in particular. But can you prove it? No, we can't. We don't. I don't think we can prove it right now. It's now even for implant placement with osteoporosis. I don't think we're as concerned. I think we're getting a little bit more of a handle with the studies on it. But on the other hand, what we worry about is just the surgery, depending on what kind of these bisphosphonates like Fosamax and heaven forbid some of the injectables of Prolia and things like that. Those are ones where you can cause spontaneous loss of bone in the jaw. I have a patient like that right now that is a man too. So it's not always women. Everybody thinks, well, gee, it's always women that get. No, it's not at all, Emma. And that's something to think. Yes, I think more women have osteoporosis issues. They may be vitamin related, hormonal related, and so on. But I see men with it too. So it's not unusual. It's like breast cancer. Yes, it's very rare in men, but it happens.
But it's become, well, we're hearing about it more than we used to. So you were practicing when you were in the military, right? And so you've been practicing for a total of over 40 years now?
42 as a licensed dentist.
And so 42 as a licensed dentist, almost as long as I've been on the planet, right? Does that make you? So what have you seen change, you know, from the 70s as far as dental care or just, you know, dentistry between then, you know, kind of when you started and now?
I think the biggest thing is really getting a handle on implants and maybe less crown and bridge, what they used to call where you're missing a tooth and you know, you automatically grind the adjacent teeth down and slip it over. We did a lot of that because, you know, nobody wants for one tooth. For example, there's some statistics. I looked it up on the American College of Prosthodontists, which I'm a member of for the last 40 years. And there's 178 million people in the United States alone that have at least one missing tooth. So a lot of times, particularly molars, and they tip, and you hear all these things, we needed to do this and that, and how we have in dental school, we go through just an exercise mentally Okay, you lose one tooth and it tips, and because it tips, you break this, and then it shows where you end up with a denture.
Okay.
Because of something like that. So it is significant.
And when you say, you know, there's X number of millions of people that
Yes.
are missing at least a tooth, you don't mean, and you mentioned wisdom teeth and your molars,
No.
not having them removed,
Yeah,
but just missing a tooth because of
Yeah. Oh,
decay or
right.
something.
When you think about it, our first molars, the key first molars, come in when we're 6 years old. How many people are really into brushing it? Well, I mean, I brush, but we're not, you know, I was a junk food junkie when I was a kid, you know, so I don't know. I mean, so those teeth are vulnerable. You know, they're in there since they're 6 years old. We don't really count wisdom teeth, I would say.
Okay.
Very, very few people I ever see have functional third molars, we call them.
Okay. As adults?
As adults.
Okay.
Most of them are more trouble than they're worth, which is, I'm a good example of that. They're gone. One of them formed a cyst, and I had a numb chin for like almost a year. Those are things that, because it was more looking at it, more trouble taking it out than leaving it in. So there's all these different things. But on the other hand, we don't count them. So we
Okay.
count 28 teeth as considering. But what's changed is, and I probably started changing in the mid-90s, is I didn't want to do any more of these so-called 3-unit bridges anymore. Because I realized that you hook a weaker tooth with one root to a big old tooth with two on the lower and maybe three on the other. They move differently, but yet the bridge is fixed.
Okay.
So eventually the cement fails, and then you may know it failed, you may not.
Right.
So then you end up jeopardizing those two teeth. So what do we do today more? The biggest thing that I've seen that's been very, very positive is placing an implant to replace that missing molar.
Okay.
And leaving the other teeth alone.
So here's my question is, and this is where that $20,000 bill came from in my mind, was what is the cost for implants and dentures and things like that? What are those costs now?
On average, just general fees per implant placement, it's about $2,000. That's for a surgeon generally. I don't place them. We rely on surgeons. Which surgeons? Basically a periodontist or an oral surgeon, oral maxillofacial surgeon. These guys or gals do it all the time, and we kind of believe in specialty because we have 3D scans now called cone beams where we can turn you. We don't just look this way, but we can tomogram you so we can see the shape of the jaw and where to place the implant, what kind of an angle to place it, and so on. These are remarkable things that, once again, so much better even in implant placement than it was in the 80s.
Okay.
People think implants are fairly new. Since when I started my residency in 1977, I was doing implants. We were doing things that, like, most of them fail by now, but they were precursors to what we're doing and what we learn now. Medicine's the same way. If you think about it, when my dad had a hernia operation, he couldn't get out of bed for a week. Nowadays, you get out the same day.
Yeah, it's like outpatient almost,
Yeah,
right?
if my dad got out in the early 60s, I'm sure the doctor would be malpracticing, never practice again. Today, it would be the other way around.
Right.
So we do a lot of things differently than we used to do, and for good reasons, because we used to think, it was called a priori thinking, or ivory tower thinking.
Okay.
Well, that wouldn't be, just like doing immediate dentures. Well, that's a terrible thing to do. We didn't do it. Then in the 60s, we've said, no, it's the other way around. It's 180 degrees different. So things change, and what we think. What we thought before, while getting out of bed after surgery, no. We do it because we get clots if we don't. How many people died from things in the past? We don't even know, because we considered that you needed to stay in bed all that time. They would hamper the surgery and so on. With our implants, it's, we've done a lot of things. They didn't work. Some people worked, but others, most of them didn't. Had things called subperiosteals, blades, all these different types of implants. Ramus frames, I've been around long enough where I've done transosseous staples, all these. Oh my God, it sounds like a torture thing.
Yeah.
But these we learned that what's better. This sounds good, but it didn't work as well as we want.